Test.
All right, Justin, so how are you feeling about the start to the 2023 season so far?
Man, I'm feeling okay. I had a little bit of a setback a couple weeks ago at Clash Miami, but overall it's early days. It's only March, and it's a long year with a lot of racing, and I'm just getting stoked for my first race of the year. Miami doesn't count. Next week at Oceanside, 70.3 is first real race of the year, and I'm pretty excited because I stacked up 8 really amazing weeks from January 1st until March 1st before I got sick, and I'm just hoping some of that fitness shows on the race start line next weekend.
Nice, feeling better than Miami. Kind of talk about what happened and what did you learn?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better than Miami. I mean, I came off of Everyman Jack team camp in Las Vegas, where we had a few really hard days of training after an 8-week block, where I was really pushing the limit, hitting over 20 hours a week consistently of training volume with a lot of threshold work, which is more stress than I've had in the past, training 12 to 15 hours a week for the last few years. So really ramping it up, trying to get to that next level. And then, I was dumb and I went out and partied really hard on the Vegas Strip Saturday night, 1 week out from the race.
Let the dogs out?
What?
Do what? Let the dogs out. Like, who let the dogs out? Who brought this guy along?
Got sick, what do you know? Ended up in the ER with a stomach bug, and then tried to recover in 72 hours, got on my flight because I was being really stubborn and I wanted to show my fitness, and then it just didn't happen on the race day. I was made front swim pack, which was a really cool validation that the swim work has, paid off, but then just had no power, heart rate was dropping, and then ended up throwing up on the bike like 10 miles in, and pulled the plug after getting dizzy and just knowing that I wasn't even gonna make it to the finish line. And it took me about a week to come around, and it was a little bit of a mental setback because I just, I hadn't DNF'd before. I hadn't had that bad of a race. And when you get sick like that and you've worked so hard, you're like questioning if you're actually fit. You kind of go into some weird mental places. So, since then I've come around, had a few really, really good sessions, but it's not all up and to the right, every single week when you're training hard like this. Progress isn't linear, and so a little bit of setback can fuel the fire, I suppose.
How have you bounced back from Miami?
Yeah, I mean, I've bounced back, I think, just putting it behind me, really. Just saying, hey, you know what, that wasn't a reflection of my fitness, wasn't me, I was sick. I needed a little validation, so last weekend I crushed a big day where I did 5 hours on the bike solo at 4x30 minutes at 310 watts, which is sort of a 70.3 race simulation, probably one of the harder sessions I've ever done, with a hard runoff. And then, stacked up a few big days and kind of dug myself a hole a little bit, maybe came back a little ambitious with a 22-hour week right after being sick, but then, needed that bump going into Oceanside after taking 7 to 10 easy days. So yeah, I think I've bounced back, but we'll see next weekend on the start line and what the results show, because that's really what matters at this level, is just showing up on race day at 100%, because if you don't show up at 100%, if you're even 97% against a field like that, you will be smoked. You won't even be in the conversation.
And what's the final week of training looking like building up to next weekend?
Final week is going to be really easy. I don't want to take any risks. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to be in a hole. So Coach and I chatted yesterday. We decided we're going to do 4 easy days in a row. 2 hours of volume, 2 short sessions with, really, really easy, all zone 2 type stuff, to just absorb the last, 10 weeks of training. And then I'll do a couple of spicier sessions, maybe 4x5 minutes at threshold on the bike on Tuesday with a quick runoff 3x1K at 3:30 per K, kind of goal race pace. And just sharpen up and then hopefully feel amazing. I'm a week out. I feel okay, not race ready yet, but you don't have to feel race ready until 6 a.m. on Saturday morning next week.
And this isn't your first time in Oceanside, right? I know you've done a major in Oceanside as an amateur, right? And first time as a pro. So how is this race different than the other races you've done at Oceanside?
Yeah, I've raced Oceanside twice. One was in 2021 in October after the COVID delay. Had a good race there. I was second overall amateur by 14 seconds. I got clipped at the line. That one stung after cramping a mile 10 of the run and kind of losing that overall race. And then I came back with a vengeance, which was my very next race, uniquely in April of last year exactly a year ago, where I had my best race to date. I won overall amateur, set the course record, but none of that matters next weekend, because my goals are to be, you know, in the mix in the pro field, PR my run, and you know, the pro race is just so much different than the amateur race. I've learned that in Indian Wells. The swim is absolutely all out, whereas in the amateur race, you go in with a plan, you swim your own race, you have your target watts, you stick to those, and then you see what you can run. Whereas next weekend, you know, with that kind of field, with Jan Frodeno, Ben Canute, you know, you've got Sam Long coming from behind on the bike, Jason West, like the list goes on and on and on. To be in the mix, you have to swim front. I will have to swim front pack. I'll have to bike with the best of them, if not front pack, and then run probably a 1:16 is my goal, which would be a 2-minute PR for me on the 70.3 run. And I think if I execute front pack swim, front pack bike, and a 1:16 run, which are my goals, that'd be a perfect race, and that could put me in the top 10. And if it doesn't, it's a great day anyway, and I'll be really, really proud of myself.
It's going to be a great weekend, man. Talk to me about race strategy for the swim.
Yeah, I mean, the swim in the pro race is a totally different animal. Like, with that open water start, last year there were 5-foot white caps. You know, you're duck diving through them like a surfer. And so the race strategy is like literally go out absolutely as hard as I can for 400 meters to the first buoy and try to get, be in the front pack. I mean, I think you've pretty much got to be able to go 1 minute per 100 yards for 400 yards to be able to make that front pack. I saw that in Clash Miami, which is probably the one silver lining of that race, and I was able to have a great takeout and get right in that front pack with guys like Bakegaard, Sam Appleton, Jason West. And so we'll see how Jan Frodeno and Ben Canute and Bergère mix up the front pack in the swim next weekend, but I'd like to think my swim fitness is able to be right in the mix with those guys and then just hang on for life the rest of the swim. But it's probably going to be an absolute 10 out of 10 effort for me to get front pack and then get through T1 and get on the bike with those guys. Honestly, not getting dropped in T1 is a challenge for me, because I come out of the water so spent and my run's not great, and so some of those guys have just perfected it. So you know, that's the swim. If I don't make front pack, it's get on the bike and start hammering as hard as I can to try to bridge up, which is a really big challenge and going to be difficult to do if you've got guys like Jan and Ben pushing the pace on the front. But yeah, looking forward to it. I think it suits me. It's a very difficult swim, open water, wetsuit, you know, cold ocean, but all that stuff I love, so I'm excited for it.
Now, what kind of watts do you want to hold on the bike?
Watts on the bike. I mean, I did 300 last year at Oceanside. I rode 212 by myself. Didn't pass anyone, and nobody passed me, except I passed all the pro women. And I think this year I can hold 315, 320. I did 317 at Indian Wells. But really, it's just you got to play to the race dynamics of the group you're in. You know, of course, at a legal distance, but 12-meter draft when you're fifth or sixth bike is 30 to 50 watts of savings versus being on the front of that train. And so I'd like to just get in that front group, settle in, hopefully right at 290, 300. And then when you hit those punchy climbs in Oceanside in the pro field, I know just from my experience in Indian Wells, even on a flat course, the pace will just dramatically accelerate. It's going to be 400, 450 watts up those climbs. That's where everyone's going to try to drop anyone who can't hang. And I hope to not be the guy that's getting spit out the back there, and just show my bike fitness that I can hammer above threshold and then recover on the downhills and settle in. So, you know, it's play to the race dynamics, hang on for life, and, you know, probably ride 315, 320, hopefully on a good day.
Nice. We talked about the 1:16 run goal. How does Justin do that?
1:16, the elusive 1:16 half marathon. I mean, my run PR is 1:18. I did it at Oceanside and Santa Cruz last year. You know, been working a lot of threshold work, a lot of 540 pace, 545 pace, which is right in that 1:15, 1:16. You know, it's a great, fast, flat course, and the top guys are going to be running 108, 111. So for me to be in the mix, I know I need to improve my run. There's no question about that. I think I need to, you know, go out hard and hang on for life and hope that the aerobic fitness is there and the strength, endurance, and my muscles and my legs, which is where I always fade, just stay strong all the way to the finish line. And then it becomes that mental battle, that last 5 or 10K. You know, I know from watching the pro race last year at Oceanside, every single mile counts in the pro race. Those last 5K, that last 10K, especially with a field this deep with 73 guys on the pro start list, you know, you're going to be battling for every single place all the way to the finish line. If you want a top 10 or a top 15, which is where I, you know, on a good day think I can be in this race, you know, you can't make any mistakes. You can't have a nutrition error the last couple miles. You can't stop and stretch. You can't slow the pace. You got to be all in all the way home, just like Lionel did last year when he ran from like 8th place to 2nd or 3rd against Rudy. I mean, that was just incredible. So, you know, it ain't over till it's over at Oceanside. The last 5K of the run is where the race is going to be made, and I hope to be able to run, you know, really well all the way to the finish.
Are we walking the Asics or the Nikes?
We're going Nike Alpha Fly 2. First time racing in the Alpha Fly 2s. Just got them in this week. Certainly not sponsored by Nike, but yeah, I've raced in the Nikes. I love them. I tried out the Asics just because, you know, you got Lionel and Sam that race in those. I like them, but for me, I love that cushy, bouncy feeling. It makes me feel fast. So I think most people can relate. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Certainly not. The shoes are not the key ingredient to running a 116, I will say.
Any travel tips for people coming to Oceanside for the first time?
Oh, travel tips. I'm the wrong guy to ask for that. I mean, I got an Airbnb in Carlsbad outside of the Oceanside city, which Carlsbad and Encinitas are a little bit nicer than Oceanside. You know, I pretty much stick to my meals at home and lay low. I'll bring my espresso machine, of course. But, you know, I think the tips for the amateurs, it's like get in the water. You know, make sure you practice that swim start because those waves are no joke and you got to be really comfortable in open water. Practice when you're going to start duck diving versus when you're going to stop running. That's a really big factor to the swim start. And then because you can't ride on the course, because the bike course is in the military base, Camp Pendleton, just, you know, familiarize yourself with the course and know at what mile those climbs are coming. Make sure you have the right gearing. And know that on those climbs, you better be ready to push, you know, bigger watts than your average, you know, well above threshold. You can make up a lot of time on those steep pitches and then recover on the downhills. And so, you know, make sure those steep climbs aren't a surprise. They're pretty short, they're punchy, but you got to be ready for them and attack them. All right, Monday morning, race week, very exciting. Figured I'd show you guys how I pack up for race week, what that looks like. Very excited to be driving to this race on Thursday morning instead of flying. So much easier. 5 hours from Vegas to Oceanside. But I'm gonna be a real type A triathlete, start packing up a few days early, make sure I have everything in order. Normally I'm doing that the night before, so this video will force me to get ahead of it a little bit. So first up, we got the bike, of course. Felt IA, very special bike to me. It was my former teammate, Tom Trauger, his bike, who was killed in a horrible car crash by an impaired driver in 2020, and the bike was passed along to me. So very excited to always be ripping this thing on the race course and hopefully making him proud. Made a few upgrades this year. We, of course, are going to throw on the Ceramic Speed UFO chain tomorrow, new chain for race day. Have the oversized pulley wheel and a 56-42 chain ring set up for a little bigger watts, hopefully this year. 155 millimeter crank arms, so shorten those up a bit with the new Garmin Rally pedals, power sensing dual-sided. What else is interesting on here? Obviously the NV 7.8 wheels, best in the biz, and then front end, little new aero mount holder to stay aero. And then I kind of made this little janky thing using a piece of cut carbon from Amazon that's just mounted under the aero bars to have a really clean front end for the bottle between my arms. Some people have been asking about that, so I figured I'd share. Need to shorten up these screws here if I want to get really into it, but yeah, feeling really good about this. I think it's got to be as fast as the fastest setups up there, maybe minus some of those really custom one-piece front end situations that some of the pros got, but I'll be ripping on this thing. And of course, we'll be putting on the beautiful NV disc for race day. We got the race bucket, which is a nice bucket where I just keep all my race specific stuff in it, which is great. Obviously the shoes, gotta figure out how to zip tie those or rubber band them to my frame, but I'll figure that out. It'll be my first run in the Alpha Fly 2s, which is sweet. You actually can run in them with no laces, which is pretty cool. So looking forward to that. Got my race kit, my brand new Win Republic race kit, which I'm looking forward to crossing the finish line for the first time since I didn't do that in Miami. Arrow bottle. What else we got in here? Some tubes, chamois butter, race belt, race hat for the run course. Kind of my lucky hat. Di2 charger, wetsuit, swim skin, zip ties, tape, fresh goggles, tinted and non-tinted, thermal cap in case it's freezing like Indian Wells was. And that's about it. So no secrets for sure. The other big thing that I obviously am not showing here is my nutrition. So I'll be packing up Never Second, my favorite brand, as well as GU. But for race day, I like to use Never Second. Find it really easy on the gut. And it's a maltodextrin 2-to-1 fructose mix with 200 milligrams of sodium per serving. So I'll be doing 100 grams an hour of Never Second with some ketones before the race, and all liquid on the bike with 1 caffeinated gel. And then I'll run with 4 gels and take one every 15 minutes, 15, 30, 45, 60, and then hopefully to the finish line around 117, 115, 118, who knows? Hopefully not slower than that, but it could be. So yeah, really excited for racing, and thanks for watching. I will see you in Oceanside.